you so much for taking the time to talk about Neon Lights. I actually just finished it this morning, and oh my God, I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop, man. It was such a great movie, man. You did a great job on it.
Hey, Albert, thank you so much for having me, man. I'm really glad that you enjoyed it.
So where did the idea for this movie come about?
Well, I mean, we were in the height of the pandemic. The world had just ceased, and everything was kind of on lockdown. And so, it just felt really natural to write something like Neon Lights. I already had a feature film titled Neon Lights, the very same project, but we just really distilled it. And because we had so many rewrites to it, Ruzbe and I, when we were looking at the story, how we could shoot it with the confinements and the restrictions during the pandemic, the story just really took form. As you know, it's limited cast and it's limited as far as our demographic of shooting style, as far as location goes. And so that really just played effects to how do we then make this into a psychological thriller, because you have to create twists and turns to make everything make sense, because you don't have 30 extras, you don't have 30 locations,
Right.
And that's what really took shape and form as we made Neon Lights, the restrictions within the pandemic. Then you couple in the facts of mental health and childhood trauma, all the different elements that we were facing during the pandemic as we've been restricted and confined to our homes, and that really is what layered the film itself.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, man, this cast was amazing. Kim Coates was the biggest surprise of them all because he scared the crap out of me. I can see him. He always brings this intimidating presence to any role that he brings. And this one's probably the most sinister he's done since Sons of Anarchy, perhaps I could think of. But this is like the most sinister I've seen him. And I noticed that he was a producer on the film as well. Like, how did he get involved in this?
Well, I've emailed his management team so many times, and I'm pretty sure there's a restraining order at this point. But well, no, truly, Gail, his manager, I've worked with before on a previous project, and I had emailed her just asking her his availability, and he's somebody I've always wanted to work with. I mean, there's two films. You touched on Sons of Anarchy. The second series he done was Bad Bloods. It's on Netflix, and both those two series, I should say, really resonates with us. And I grew up in a city called Hamilton, Ontario, where we filmed the movie itself. And bike culture, motorcycle culture, and the mob families are all like really big here. So those two series were our two favorite shows. So Kim was somebody I've always wanted to work with. It's Tig, it's trippy, and we emailed Gail. She said no right away. Not something he wants to do. Nobody wants to get on a plane, never mind for an independent thriller. Emailed her back a couple more days later, and at that point she's like, okay, you're persistent, I'll just give him the script. He had liked the script as he had originally had read it, and then we made some tweaks, made some changes, and at that point he had so much contribution that we figured, he's helping produce this project. Working with him is phenomenal, and as you said, he's intimidating, sinister, pretty much like that in person too. No, he's such a great person to work with. He's a great individual, and we really couldn't have done it without him. I know that I couldn't have, for sure.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, and so I like that a lot of the film uses a lot of these color filters to like really bring the darkness out, and I really love those visuals. And I really like the lighthearted scene where Clay is with his niece and they're talking about books. I felt that was a breakaway from the seriousness of the film. It's just like a little lighthearted moment. I felt that was important to kind of balance that out. Was that an idea you came up with as you wrote the script? Like you just wanted to bring something, didn't want to make it straight through, you want to bring a little bit of lightheartedness into it?
Well, as it turns out, I believe that in humanity, I don't think everything's fully dark, and I also don't think anything's fully light. I think that in any given instance in our moments and in our day-to-days, you find a little bit of humor and you find a little bit of sensibility in all aspects. And so for any film to resonate with the audience, as we had hoped that it would, Ruzbe and I, we had to create moments where you can actually connect with Clay and connect with Blair's, the niece, and any character at any given moment, where we give them opportunities to be human. So when I'm writing any sort of screenplay, whether it's Neon Lights or 100 Lies that's next, or Black Cat that's upcoming, I always try to find moments where we can humanize our characters, so that way there's some level of degree where we can connect to our audience. And I felt like that scene that you enjoyed was one in which where we got to really see Clay for who he is and the love he had for his niece and how they had connected. where you find similarities in people that are so different in polarities, you know? So I think that really worked. I'm glad that you liked it, Albert.
That's awesome. So how long did shooting take? And aside from the pandemic and everything, were there any other challenges that you had to face during production?
Oh God, I mean, we'll need a separate interview for all the challenges. But when it came down to shooting, we had to restrict ourselves to 15 days. Insurance would not allow us to go past that. So if you can imagine, we're shooting 20, 25 days to 30 days now. And to shoot in 15 days, when I look back, I figure, how do we do it? But we have to be very strict in how, as a producer, I have to be very strict in how we utilize our budget, how we utilize our locations, limiting our company moves completely. So that in and of itself was challenging. And you have 12-hour days. We couldn't go into overtime because of the restrictions on that as well. So overall, shooting was really challenging. And then coupling that with the height of the second wave, we weren't sure if the province itself or the premier of Ontario was going to shut all filming down itself. So we had every day we'd go on to set, look at the news. Our legal team was on top of that every single day, letting us know if anything was changing on the policies. But the most tantamount aspect of filming during the pandemic was ensuring that our crew and our cast were safe.
Yeah.
At any given moment, I knew that this is an opportunity for myself as a performer, but also as a producer to, give myself that vertical growth that I needed. But I couldn't do it on the backs and the health of those around me. So just trying to ensure that we did it safely was really important, and when we did, and I'm really, really proud of everybody for that.
Yeah, and I think overall, like I said, this was a fantastic movie, and I hope people get to check it out. So with that said, is there anything next for you that you can talk about on the horizon?
Absolutely. We have 100 Lives with cast from Riverdale, Ginny in Georgia, The Flash. That film's about the volatility of Toronto's music industry. We were originally financed by a studio and they wanted us to change the script a little bit. And I said no, because I think the depths and the themes and all those particulars that really help us connect with people and share a story about Toronto's music industry that's so dense. I mean, some of the biggest artists, if not the biggest artists in the world, are from Toronto, right around the corner from where we are. And the producers help produce the music in this film. So that's releasing later this year in the fall and going forward. Maternal, starring Amy Beth McNulty from Stranger Things and Anne with a Name, and Colin Fior also releases this Halloween. And we start filming Black Cat, an Edgar Allan Poe adaptation of the same story, or short story with the same title. That goes to camera this fall as well. So we have a lot going on, and I'm really, really proud of Red Hill and everybody around us. So thank you so much, by the way.
Oh, thank you. And thank you again, Dana Abraham. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk about Neon Lights. I hope people will get to check this movie out. They're gonna be in for a wild ride. And again, man, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about it.
It's a pleasure, man. I really appreciate it, man. I hope to talk to you soon. Cheers.
All right, man. Take care and stay safe.
Cheers.
All right. Bye.